Hi, my name is Mary Walker Goza, and this is my stewardship story. My stewardship story really has a lot to do with growing up in the Episcopal Church. I grew up in a very small town in Mississippi, and my church was right across the street from my house. I would say on a good day, there were 25 people at a service, but because it was a very small church, I was an acolyte pretty much every single Sunday. But one of the stories that I remember most as an acolyte is we had this very powerful priest at a time. He was actually a supply priest because our priest had been called elsewhere. And he was, had this big, powerful voice and, kind of the traditional, what you think of priests were back in the day. But there was one Sunday where I was just not really paying attention to his sermon, and he was speaking pretty much right in front of me, and he noticed that I was not paying attention. And so he was preaching about atonement, but I obviously didn't know that. But at one point during the sermon, he actually stopped and he said, so, what does atonement mean? And he looked at me directly. He said, Mary Walker, what would you say atonement means? And I just kind of looked at him with big eyes because I, again, had not been paying attention. And he said, wouldn't you say it's being at one with God? And I nodded a little sheepishly. And that's something that has stuck with me forever. And because I was probably back in the third grade when that happened. And so for me, when I come into the doors of St. James, that's how I feel. I feel at one with God. I feel this calmness, this peace. And that's really what was important to me. And that's why becoming a part of the St. James community was so important to me. I've been coming to St. James probably for about 12-ish years, but I only joined 2 years ago. I would lurk in the back and I probably didn't come every Sunday, but it was always a place that felt home to me. It was the first time feeling like a church in New York felt like the church that I went to back home. And that was really, really important to me and it's really because of the people. Like, even though I wasn't a member of the church, I always felt very welcomed here. People were kind, polite. The priests, the message that they gave, it really always resonated with me. So that's why I stayed around, even though, like I said, I was lurking. During the pandemic, I was back home for a period of time and got very involved with my church back home. And when I came back, I was back in Mississippi probably for about a year. I would help my mom with the altar. I was at church every Sunday. It was a moment for me recognizing how much I needed that community. And it was one of the things that when I came back to New York, there were a few things that I just didn't want to give up on. And being a part of a church community was one of the things that I just did not want to give up on. And I knew St. James was that place for me. So when I came back, I officially joined the church, and over the past 2 years, I've gotten involved in various communities, various committees like the Altar Guild, Parish Life, and it's really just been so enriching to me. It's been, it's actually nice to leave work a little early one day, like when we had an Altar Guild meeting a couple of weeks ago, or come to work a little bit late because we have a Parish Life meeting. And so, the ways in which you can get involved with the church, it's not just about coming every Sunday. It's really about kind of giving yourself in different ways. And I think that the ways in which you can do that, you give your time. And then it's also the monetary piece of that. And it was not until I joined that I really fully appreciated what it meant to make an annual donation. And that, joining the church and making that commitment, that call to give was very important to me, because the ways in which the church gives back to the community with things like Samaritan's Closet or the meal program, these are things that really do enrich the lives of some of the underprivileged in our broader New York community. So these are ways in which we can give, like I said, both our time and our money to help support all of these causes. Please join us on Sunday, November 12th for Consecration Sunday. It will be a wonderful celebration day and an opportunity for all of us to make our annual commitment to St. James.